Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. I'm very interested in that because Max Holloway, as we know, the man's phenomenal. Moving up a weight class, going up against somebody so dangerous. Give me your thoughts on that, Demetrius.
Yeah, I mean, you got Max Holloway taking on Justin Gaethje. I mean, the card is pretty much stacked. Right. I mean, when I said those two fights, I felt like those were on the main card, but that's just the prelims, like you said. So when you look at Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, had Max on the Mighty Cast, let's be dropping soon. But when you look at those two, that's an interesting fight because Max, he can box and he can also kickbox, but he likes to box most of the time. And then you have Justin Gaethje. It's kind of weird because a lot of people don't realize Justin Gaethje's background from the PFL days where he used to just hammer people's legs. He would make people quit on the stool during a fight because his leg kicks were so good. And he has a great jab, great combination. He can also wrestle. So that's for the BMF belt, and that's going to be a sick-ass fight too.
Yeah. Do you know when the last time Max Holloway fought at 155 was?
It's against Dustin Poirier, I believe, right?
Dustin Poirier. Yep. 5 years to the date. Wow. April 13, 2019. Do you think that's a good omen or a bad omen?
I'm not really into omens. I don't believe it. I just
me neither.
So time is time. But I think
there's something there.
There's something there, but Max is he's also another big 145er, right? There was one time I was hanging out with him in Hawaii, and the man was like 175, 180. And I'm like, Jesus, bro, how do you make 145, bro? And he goes, I just, I cut the weight. So when I talked to him, he said he put the weight on correctly this time. He was really taking the time to put the weight on and put some strength on. So I'm excited to see how he's going to look when he fights Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, because the thing is about Max as well, never been knocked out, as we know. Only finished the one. Or even dropped. Only finished once by triangle armbar against Dustin Poirier in his UFC debut when he was about 12 years old. As you said, his first time at 155, he took it on about 6 weeks' notice, which isn't even a camp. This time he's had 12 weeks. So I'm assuming, and you know better because you've spoken to him, I'm assuming he's packed on some muscle and stuff like that. And he's even putting it out there that if he's successful against Justin, he might stick around and try and challenge Islam.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Right. I mean, he's been the champion for a very long time at 145. He's beat the greats, Jose Aldo. He's come up short against Alex Volkanovski. So there's a new storyline there. You got Ilia Topuria, who's down at 145, along with Alex Volkanovski still there. But why not? I feel like 155 probably suits his frame a lot better. Right? Like, why cut down to 145? Put the muscle on. You can actually eat, enjoy yourself. It's going to be able to give you the longevity of your career because you're going to have way more muscle surrounding your joints and more fluid in your brain. So I like that move to 155. He's not like he's a short guy. He's pretty tall. I mean, he's taller than DC, and DC was the heavyweight champion of the world.
They're both 5'11", reaches. No. Sorry, Holloway and Gaethje. They're both 5'11". Okay. It pretty much got the same reach, 79 inch. 80-inch reach. No, 70 for Justin, 69.5 for Max Holloway. So everything's the same. Would you mind giving a prediction in that fight? Or
I'm gonna go with Max. I'm going with my buddy Max. I think Max has the tools to get it done as long as he moves his head. Justin likes to box and throw his leg kicks. Sometimes you see him grapple, but I think this is going to be all on the feet, and I think Max has the better range management. But we'll see. It's a fight. We're going to see what happens.
Yeah, you just never know. I mean, Justin Gaethje does seem to get better and better. Against Fiziev, he looks incredible. Knocked out Dustin Poirier. Yep. What do you think about Justin Gaethje taking this fight? Because there's a lot of talk about Dustin Poirier maybe fighting Islam, and Justin Gaethje's kind of annoyed. Obviously, you got Charles Oliveira, Arman Sarukian as the number one contender as well. And now Justin, who should, by right, be fighting Islam next. He just knocked out Dustin. He's had a great career. But he's fighting Max.
Man, you know how this game goes. People get title fights off of losses, and and it's also the ebbs and flows of when a person's healthy and when a person's not fighting, and who just had a big fight. So right now, Dustin Poirier just knocked out BSD. That's the last thing everybody remembers is that beautiful knockout Dustin just had. Then you look at Justin's about to fight Max Holloway. So Islam needs to fight. So the only person who's healthy enough to be ready to fight Islam is Dustin Poirier. So that's why I think they're going to make that fight. Also, Dustin's a huge draw, even though he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. Now, for Justin Gaethje, it's just the way the cards are being dealt. And then you also have Charles taking on Arman. That's another fight that's probably the number one contender. So it's some interesting storylines going on with that lightweight division. And it's probably one of the hottest divisions right now in the world with all those big stars.
So let's get into it about the antitrust lawsuit. The reason why this is a blow to the fighters and such a huge win for the UFC, it's not about the money. It's about that it's business as usual now. They move forward and the pay structure is no different. The fighter pay is no different. The fighter rights is no different. Everything will stay exactly the same. The UFC stays as the biggest circus in town. They don't have to change a single thing. The other reason why it's such a disappointment, if you're for, making a change for fighter pay, maybe you aren't. Maybe you're just like, man, just shut up and let the UFC do their thing. I get that too. But if you're for fighter pay and fighter changes and, giving them at least not even a line share of the profit, but just what's fair, if you're for that, the reason why this is a big deal that didn't go to trial, it's not about the money, the settlement. If it would have went to trial, we would have got more documents, more email, more conversations about how the UFC treats the fighters. That was the big deal. Like just leading up to this, the papers the UFC had to submit, you guys saw how Joe Silva talked about certain fighters with Nate Diaz and other fighters. If it would have went to trial, that would have opened up a huge Pandora's box. And we would have you guys would have been privy, and fighters know this, but the public doesn't, which in order to make a change, you need the outcry from the public. If they would have gave you guys an insight of how that Willy Wonka's cockfighting factory actually works, and you guys would have been, just in awe, in disappointment of the way the UFC brass thinks and deals with the fighters. That was why this could have been good. They will never get close again. Just not going to happen. Because the old heads, I wouldn't refer to myself as an old head, but like the John Nashes, the Luke Thomases, the Ariels, all goes away now. There's no more debate. There's no reason to bring it up anymore. The new age of media, if you do bring it up, you can get shunned. You can get silenced, and no one wants to deal with that. And I think at the end of the day, too, is if you're just getting started in this business, there's no upside into fighting the UFC anymore. There's not. They tried their best shot. The UFC ate their shot, kept going, nothing's going to change. There's no benefit to bringing up fighter pay and what's right and the way they treat the fighters. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It's just a shame. Nothing will ever change. So at the end of the day, I think you just have to accept, and this is terrible, I'm even saying this, but it's just reality. You have to accept is if you're going to become a professional fighter, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what it is. And you have to have the hope that you'll be the next Conor McGregor, or you're going to be the next Ronda Rousey, or Brock Lesnar, or Izzy, or Sugar Sean. Like, you have to hope that you're the 0.0001% of these professional fighters and can walk away with some money in the bank.